Mom sold my laptop to buy my sister a dress. She has a date, you don't, she said. I didn't argue, just packed my bags. 3 weeks later, she was at my door crying. They say the biggest betrayals don't come from enemies. They come from people who call you family. The night I walked away from my mother's house, I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I didn't slam any doors. I just zipped my backpack, slowly and deliberately, and walked out. The last thing I saw before I turned that knob was my little sister twirling in front of the hallway mirror, twirling in a red sequin dress that cost more than my rent. A dress that sparkled like a promise someone made with someone else's future. Mine. See, I'm not the flashy type. Never have been. I'm 22, and I spend most of my time hunched over a second-hand desk in a cramped room doing online college courses and freelancing as a junior web dev. HTML is my second language. My laptop wasn't just a tool, it was school, work, communication. My entire world packed in 13 inches of glass and aluminum. And 3 days ago, I came home to find it gone. At first, I thought maybe I left it at the library. Then I checked the kitchen table. Then under the bed. And slowly, a horrible thought crept in. When I asked my mom where it was, she didn't even blink. Didn't look up from her phone. I sold it, she said. Just like that. I remember standing in the middle of the living room, still holding my empty laptop case like it had betrayed me too. I asked her why, because of course I did. That's when my sister, Megan, walked in holding the dress up to her chest like she was about to walk the red carpet. Mom didn't even flinch when she said it. She has a date. You don't. And that was the moment everything I tried to ignore came flooding in. It wasn't just about the laptop. Not really. It was about every small cut before it. The time she borrowed my debit card. The time she forgot to buy groceries because Megan needed her hair done. The way Megan's failures were excuses, and mine were just, "You not trying hard enough." And now she'd sold the one thing keeping my life together. For a dress. For a boy. A boy I had never met, and who, I would later learn, wouldn't even show up. But that part came later. That night, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask for my things back. I didn't demand she call the pawn shop or make it right. Because deep down, I knew she wouldn't. She never had. And this time, I wasn't going to wait around to see if she changed. I walked to my room, packed a bag. One change of clothes. My backup phone. A USB drive with my old projects. That's all I had left. And as I passed the living room one last time, I glanced at my sister in that glittering dress. "Good luck," I said. I don't know if she heard me. I don't know if she even looked up. All I know is I didn't stop walking. I didn't have a plan. Just a bag and a number in my phone, Travis. We weren't close, not really. We'd worked on a freelance project together last summer, swapped memes, late-night bug fixes, and maybe 2 real conversations. But he once said, "If you ever need a place, man, seriously, don't be shy." So I called him. The phone rang twice. "Yo?" That one word felt like oxygen. I told him everything in under 2 minutes, rushed, embarrassed, trying to pretend it wasn't as bad as it sounded. He didn't laugh. He didn't ask dumb questions. He just said, "You still got that weird IKEA backpack?" I said yeah. He told me to come over. His apartment wasn't big, 2 rooms above a laundromat, but to me, it was sanctuary. He gave me the couch and a charger. No questions, no pity. Just space to breathe. That first week was a blur of exhaustion and quiet panic. I had no gear. No income. I'd borrowed Travis's old laptop, a Frankenstein's monster of cracked hinges and missing keys, and tried to resurrect my work from cloud backups and email threads. I stayed up till 3 a.m. most nights, chasing down leads, rebuilding portfolios, writing code through gritted teeth. And weirdly, it worked. On day 9, I landed a remote support contract for a startup in Arizona. Small money, but it paid. On day 13, I got a call back for a scholarship I'd applied for months ago and forgotten about. By day 20, I was sleeping less and smiling more. And then, on day 21, I got a knock on the door. I knew that knock. Not from the sound, but from the weight behind it. Like someone who didn't want to be there, but didn't want to be anywhere else either. I opened the door, and there she was. My mom. Disheveled. Red-eyed. Holding a plastic grocery bag like it was all she had left. "Can I come in?" she asked. I didn't move. Behind her, the sunlight made her look smaller than I remembered. For a second, I saw her not as my mother, but as a woman who had run out of control over the only person she never thought would walk away. "Please," she said. "I didn't know who else to come to." I stepped aside. Not out of kindness. Not out of guilt. Out of curiosity. She stepped in like someone trespassing in a museum. Quiet, slow, almost reverent. The apartment was still. Travis was out, the hum of his old fridge the only sound in the room. She sat on the edge of the couch where I slept most nights and placed the grocery bag in her lap like it meant something. It was crumpled, half empty. I could see the edge of a Tupperware container and what looked like a bag of half-squished muffins. "I made banana bread," she said, not meeting my eyes. "The kind with walnuts." I stayed standing. Arms crossed. She looked around the room. "It's clean. You always liked it clean." Still no eye contact. Then she sighed. The kind of sigh you let out when you're not ready to tell the truth, but you're too tired to lie. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Your sister's date didn't show." I didn't respond. "She waited outside for an hour. Said he was probably running late." Her fingers twisted the plastic bag tighter and tighter. "When she finally came in, the dress had a tear in the back. She tripped on it getting out of the Uber." A pause. She cried. Said she wished she hadn't gone at all. And just like that, she started crying too. At first, it was the soft kind, just a shimmer in the eyes, a little tremble in the lip. But then it cracked open. Her shoulders hunched. Her voice broke. "I lost my job last week. They downsized. Said I didn't have the right certifications. I tried to hide it. Thought I could figure it out before the rent was due." My arms stayed crossed. "I pawned your laptop because I thought I could replace it fast. I thought Megan needed that night. I thought..." She trailed off. I finally sat down. Not next to her, across the room, on Travis's desk chair. "You thought I wouldn't leave," I said. She looked up, eyes wet, ashamed, nodding. "Yeah. I thought that." That silence between us? It wasn't just awkward. It was a graveyard. Every missed apology, every excuse dressed as love, every time I bit my tongue for the sake of peace, it all lived there now. She didn't ask me to come back. That was the strangest part. For all her guilt and tears, for all the ruined dress drama and the mention of the eviction notice she'd gotten just 2 days ago, she never actually said the words, "Come home." Maybe she knew better. Maybe she knew that kind of bridge doesn't get rebuilt. It just gets looked at from across the river, wondering how it burns so fast. "You're doing okay," she said after a while, trying to sound casual but failing miserably. "You always figure it out." That line? That one. "You always figure it out." It was the family motto whenever they didn't want to help me. When the water heater broke, when we ran out of groceries, when Megan, accidentally, crashed my bike and needed me to cover for her again. "You'll figure it out." Like I was born with some survival instinct they didn't have to worry about. Like it made me less human. I leaned back in the chair and let the quiet stretch. "I got a scholarship," I finally said. "Full ride. Remote program. Starts next month." She blinked. "And I picked up a better freelance contract. Pays double what I used to make." She didn't speak, but I saw it, the shift. The realization that I hadn't just survived. I was doing better. Without her. I didn't say it out loud. I didn't need to. It hung in the air between us, sharp and undeniable. "I'm proud of you," she said, voice barely above a whisper. I believed her. But it was too late. She opened the bag and held out the banana bread. "I still remember how you used to eat it warm. You'd sit by the window and..." I didn't take it. Instead, I looked her straight in the eyes and asked, Do you even know what I do for work? That stopped her. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Looked down. I thought it had to do with computers, she mumbled. It did. And it does. And I'm good at it. But she never cared enough to ask. Not once. Just like she never asked how many hours I worked. How many classes I took. How many nights I stayed up trying to keep this family afloat from the shadows. She didn't answer my question. Not really. She just sat there with that piece of banana bread in her hand, wilting in the quiet. You could almost see it, how the years of excuses and half-hearted affection folded in on themselves. And I let the silence stretch. I wanted her to feel what it felt like to talk into a void and hear nothing come back. After a while, she cleared her throat. Megan's struggling, she said. She doesn't understand why you left without saying anything. I gave a short laugh. You mean without permission? No. I mean without a fight. Without yelling. Just left. Yeah, I said. Because I was done asking to be treated like I mattered. She flinched like the words were physical. Maybe they were. I turned the chair slightly, let my eyes wander around the room. The charging cable draped over the windowsill. Travis's old, humming laptop. The cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. All of it was mine now. My space. My air. I looked back at her. You came here because you didn't know what else to do. She nodded. And you thought maybe I'd feel bad enough to save you again. She nodded again, slower this time. But I'm not the one drowning anymore, I said. She blinked. The tears started again, quieter now. Almost tired. I don't know where else to go, she whispered. It was true. But that didn't make it my responsibility anymore. I had spent 22 years trying to earn something that should have come for free. Respect. Acknowledgement. Love that didn't come with conditions. Now she was here, trying to trade tears for shelter, as if I hadn't already spent my share of nights crying in silence with no one listening. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. I was just finished. She wiped her eyes on her sleeve, like that would somehow clean up the past. Like maybe if she looked pitiful enough, I'd offer her a reset button. I didn't. I stood up, slow and calm, and walked to the kitchenette. Poured myself a glass of water. Didn't offer her one. When I came back, I didn't sit. I'm not mad at you anymore, I said. She looked up, hopeful for a split second. But that doesn't mean I forgive you. Her lips parted, maybe to speak, maybe to plead, but I didn't give her the chance. Do you know what it felt like, watching you choose Megan again and again? Even when she didn't ask. Even when she didn't deserve it. Watching you sell the only thing keeping my future alive so she could play dress-up for one night. Her mouth moved. Maybe she was trying to say I didn't know, or I'm sorry, or the favorite, you have to understand, I was under pressure. But I'd heard all those phrases before. I shook my head. I'm not asking for anything now. Not an apology. Not repayment. I just want you to hear this, I'm doing fine without you. Better, actually. For the first time in years I can breathe. She looked so small. Not because she had shrunk, but because I had stopped shrinking myself to fit inside her world. And I'm not coming back, I said, softer this time. Not now. Probably not ever. Her fingers tightened around the banana bread. Crumbs crumbled in her lap. Megan's still a kid, she whispered. She's 17, I said. Old enough to learn actions have consequences. You taught her that appearances matter more than people. Maybe this is where that lesson turns around. She looked down, cheeks red and blotchy. For the first time, she didn't defend Megan. Didn't deflect. She just sat there. Quiet. She stayed for a while. Didn't say much. I think she was waiting for me to change my mind. Maybe hoping I'd crack, like I used to. The quiet one. The reliable one. The one she could count on to put everyone else's messes ahead of his own peace. But I didn't crack. I sat at the desk and opened Travis's laptop. Picked up where I'd left off in a project. Coding. Clicking. Like she wasn't even there. Not out of cruelty, but clarity. She watched me for a few more minutes before she stood up slowly. "You've changed," she said. It wasn't judgmental. It wasn't even surprised. It was something else. Grief, maybe? Or all. "I had to," I replied without looking at her. At the door, she hesitated. If things get better, if we get back on our feet, maybe you could visit. Just to talk." I looked up at her then, and for the first time, she looked like someone who understood what she'd lost. Not just a laptop. Not just financial support. But me. "Take care of yourself," I said. That was all. She nodded, eyes glassy again, and slipped out the door. I didn't follow. I didn't watch from the window. I just kept typing. Because that's what growth looks like sometimes. Not a dramatic confrontation, not a door slam or a clever one-liner. Just stillness. The kind that used to mean surrender, now meaning freedom. The door clicked shut behind her, and the apartment was still again. I didn't move at first. Just stared at the spot she'd been sitting, the plastic grocery bag still slouched on the cushion, the banana bread sweating in its container. And then I turned back to the screen. Back to the code. Not because I had to, but because I could. It's strange what you learn about yourself when everything that defined your stability gets ripped away. 3 weeks. That's how long it had been since I walked out of my mother's house. 21 days of radio silence, sleeping on a couch, working off a loaner laptop with a busted R key and a trackpad that lagged like it was half asleep. My neck ached every morning, and I had to microwave water because Travis didn't have a kettle. And yet I had never felt more clear-headed. The first week was survival. Rebuilding accounts. Digging through old cloud saves. Emailing former clients with a careful balance of "just checking in" and "I'm available again." There was a moment I'll never forget, lying on Travis's floor at 2 a.m., screen glare in my eyes, watching the cursor blink over an empty invoice. The job had gone through. A 3-week contract. Just enough to breathe. Week 2 was hustle. I built 3 landing pages, debugged a ridiculous WordPress plugin for a desperate photographer, and got asked to teach a Zoom workshop for a bootcamp I didn't even apply to. Every yes felt like proof that I wasn't dead weight. That I never had been. I ate cheap takeout, washed my clothes in the laundromat downstairs, and even helped Travis fix his router in return for letting me crash. We joked. We didn't talk much about home. Week 3? That was the turning point. The scholarship email landed on a Tuesday night. I thought it was spam at first. One of those autoresponses you skim and forget. But then I saw the header. "Congratulations, you've been selected." And the number. A real number. Tuition free, housing stipend, even a tech allowance for new equipment. I stared at the screen for a long time. Not smiling. Not moving. Just processing. I had clawed my way back to the surface, and now, someone was handing me a rope. That same night, another message slid into my inbox. A recruiter from a boutique design firm in Boston. "Saw your work on GitHub. We'd love to chat." I scheduled the interview for Friday. It went well. At the end, the manager said something that stuck with me. "We're looking for self-starters, people who know how to adapt under pressure." I almost laughed. Self-starter? Adaptation? They had no idea. By the end of that week, I had a job offer, a full scholarship, and enough saved to start looking for a place of my own. No more couches. No more borrowed chargers. No more asking for space in a home that had never really been mine. And still, I hadn't called her. Not once. Not a text. Not a check-in. The old me would have worried, is she okay? Does Megan need help? Should I at least let her know I'm alive? But the new me? The me that stood in that kitchen and said I'm not coming back? He stayed quiet. Because sometimes the loudest kind of healing is silence. And when she finally knocked on my door that morning, trembling, mascara running, holding a grocery bag full of regret, I realized something important. This wasn't about forgiveness. It was about freedom. 2 nights after she left, Travis found me standing on the fire escape at 1 a.m., nursing a lukewarm mug of instant coffee and staring into the dark like it might finally blink first. "You're gonna get sick," he said from behind me. "Probably," I muttered. He sat on the windowsill, half in, half out, arms folded. "You're not going back, are you?" I shook my head. "No." He didn't push. That's the thing I respected most about Travis. He never needed the full story to offer a place at the table. He just let me be. Some nights, that kind of quiet company was more healing than 1,000 therapy sessions. But that night? I started talking. Not all of it. But enough. I told him about the house. The one my mother decorated with bargain furniture but never let me choose a thing for. The one where Megan's bedroom got fairy lights and Instagram shelves, and mine got a folding table and a curtain for a closet. I told him how I paid half the internet bill and all of my own tuition, while Mom called me antisocial because I didn't come out for game night. And the laptop, the one thing I owned that made me feel like I was going somewhere, gone. Not stolen. Given away. And the worst part? The memory that stuck wasn't even the betrayal. It was the moment Megan spun in that glittering red dress and said, "Isn't it perfect?" Like she had earned it. Like she had any idea what it had cost. Travis didn't say anything for a while. Just looked out into the city like he was watching the same ghosts. "Sometimes," he said finally, "we outgrow the people who raised us." That hit hard. Because it wasn't bitter. It was just true. By the end of that week, I signed the lease on a small studio apartment 3 blocks from campus. It wasn't much. The walls were thin, the fridge hummed like it had asthma, and there were exactly 4 outlets that worked properly. But it was mine. Mine. I moved in with a refurbished laptop, 1 suitcase, a second-hand mattress I bought online, and a chipped mug I'd brought from Travis's place. I spent the first night sitting on the floor, eating instant noodles, listening to the building creak and groan like it was stretching its old bones to make room for me. And that was when the knock came. Not on my door this time, but in my inbox. It was Megan. The message was short. "I didn't know she sold your laptop. I swear. She told me you donated it to help me feel confident. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was a lie until she broke down crying last week. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed to say it." I stared at it for a long time. Then I hit reply. Typed deleted. Typed again. Then closed the window. Some things didn't need a response. Because forgiveness didn't always come with a conversation. Sometimes it came with not holding the grudge. Sometimes it came with simply moving forward. The next day, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a receipt. From the pawn shop. Laptop. Model. Serial number. Paid in full. Underneath it was a sticky note. Her handwriting. My mother's. "I can't buy back what I broke. But I can stop pretending it didn't matter." There was no plea to come home. No. "I miss you." Just that one sentence. And that, somehow, was enough. Not to fix anything. Not to restore what was gone. But to prove that maybe, just maybe, she was beginning to understand that love wasn't measured in sacrifice. It was measured in respect. I never replied to the note. I didn't need to. I hung the receipt on my bulletin board, not out of sentimentality, but as a reminder. Not of her mistake, but of my line in the sand. The moment I chose myself. Life moved on. My new laptop arrived. My first paycheck from the new job cleared. My scholarship orientation started, and my apartment began to feel like home in the way that house never had. Sometimes I'd think about that last moment, the hallway, the red dress, the weightless silence. And I'd remember how easy it was to leave when I stopped waiting to be chosen. I wasn't angry anymore. Just free. Because I wasn't the one who stayed. And I didn't have to be the one who came back.